My friends, today I want to share with you one of the most moving, powerful, and unforgettable stories you will ever hear. It is the story of a young boy who saw eternity with eyes of faith, who glimpsed what most of us only wonder about, and whose final moments left behind a testimony so strong that millions of people across the world continue to be touched by it. I am speaking about Saint Carlo Acutis, a teenager who loved computers, soccer, and video games, but who loved Jesus Christ above all things. A teenager who lived his short 15 years of life with a heart so pure, so focused on heaven, that his death became a doorway for countless souls to rediscover the power of faith. Stay with me until the end of this video, because what Saint Carlo saw before his death will truly leave you speechless. It is not just about his last words or his acceptance of suffering, but about the eternal vision that guided his whole life. And I believe his story holds a message for you today. Before we dive in, I invite you to subscribe to this channel if you have not already, because here we share stories that inspire, stories that bring hope, and stories that remind us that God is always close. Now, let us enter the extraordinary life of Saint Carlo Acutis and discover the mystery of what he saw before leaving this world. Carlo was born in London in 1991, but raised in Milan, Italy. From the start, his family noticed something different about him. As a toddler, he would look longingly at churches and insist on going inside. He would kneel even before he knew the prayers and spend time in silence before the tabernacle. His mother, Antonia, later admitted that before Carlo, she was not really practicing her Catholic faith. It was through the eyes of her son that she herself rediscovered the presence of God. By the time Carlo was 7 years old, he begged to receive his first communion early. From that moment on, daily Mass became his source of strength. He would say, "The Eucharist is my highway to heaven." Think about that for a moment. While most children his age thought about cartoons or play, Carlo thought about being united to Jesus every single day. But Carlo was not a boy locked away in churches. He was lively, joyful, and very much in love with life. He enjoyed playing soccer with friends. He loved pizza and sweets. He was fascinated by technology, by computers, and by the internet. Yet here is the difference. While many get lost in distractions, Carlo saw technology as a gift, a tool to share the love of God. He used his skills to create an online exhibition of Eucharistic miracles around the world. That exhibition still exists today and has been seen by millions of people. All of this paints the picture of a boy who was ordinary in many ways, but extraordinary in his faith. He lived life like every other teenager, but with a secret compass always pointing him toward heaven. At the age of 15, Carlo was diagnosed with acute promyelocytic leukemia, one of the most aggressive forms of cancer. In an instant, his young body was struck with pain, weakness, and suffering. Many would fall into despair, but Carlo did not. He embraced his illness with serenity and even joy. He said, "I offer all my sufferings to the Lord for the Pope and for the Church, so that I may avoid purgatory and go straight to heaven." Imagine hearing those words from a 15-year-old boy. This is the first clue about what he saw. Carlo did not see sickness as tragedy. He saw it as a passage. He understood that every moment of suffering could become an offering, a key that unlocked grace for others. As his illness progressed, friends and family who visited him were astonished. Instead of bitterness, they saw peace. Instead of fear, they saw confidence. Instead of despair, they saw a teenager who kept smiling, who kept looking toward heaven. Now, let us lean in closer, because this is the moment that will leave you speechless. In those final days, Carlo began to reveal a vision that was far greater than anything visible to the human eye. He told his mother and those near him that he could see a light beyond this world, a light so dazzling and beautiful that nothing on earth could compare to it. He described the Eucharist as that very same light, the presence of heaven already here on earth. For Carlo, Holy Communion was not just bread. It was the radiant doorway to eternity, the very face of Jesus shining through. He also spoke words that startled those around him. He said that many souls end up in purgatory because they live as if God does not exist. But he insisted that if you unite your sufferings with Christ and live every moment with love, you could skip purgatory entirely and go directly to heaven. And he calmly declared that this was exactly what he was preparing to do. Carlo said, "I am offering all my suffering so I will not have to stay in purgatory, but go directly to heaven." Imagine the boldness of such a statement. A 15-year-old staring death in the face, speaking with the certainty of someone who had already glimpsed eternity. And there was more. In his last hours, those by his bedside noticed something unexplainable in his eyes. He gazed at the crucifix and smiled, as though he was already looking beyond it. His mother later testified that it was as if Carlo had one foot on earth and one foot already in heaven. He whispered that he felt a joy that cannot be explained. Joy no medicine, no comfort, no human words could give. So what did Carlo Acutis see before he died? He saw the light of heaven, burning brighter than the sun. He saw the flames of purgatory as real, but he knew he was walking past them because he had offered everything to God. He saw the infinite embrace of Jesus in the Eucharist, no longer hidden, but shining like eternity itself. And he saw his true homeland, heaven, open and waiting for him. That is why his final words could be, "I am happy to die," because what he saw was not darkness, not despair, not fear. What he saw was glory. So what did Saint Carlo Acutis see before his death that will leave you speechless? He saw that life is short, but eternity is long. He saw that heaven is real, and that the Eucharist is the highway that leads us there. He saw that suffering, when offered with love, becomes a bridge to glory. He saw that technology can be used not for vanity, but for holiness. He saw that wasting even 1 minute on things that do not please God is the real tragedy. This vision is what made him fearless in the face of death. It is what made him peaceful in his illness. It is what made him radiant in his final hours. And perhaps most importantly, Carlo saw you and me. He believed that young people of every generation could be saints. He believed that holiness was not a distant dream, but a present possibility. He once said, "You don't have to be a superhero to be holy. You just have to live your ordinary life with extraordinary love." That is the vision he left us. Now I want you to imagine for a moment what it would mean to live as Carlo did. To see every day as a gift. To see every suffering as an offering. To see every opportunity as a way to love God more. To see the Eucharist not as a ritual, but as Jesus himself, walking with you, feeding you, guiding you. What if you saw life this way? What if you embraced this vision? Saint Carlo Acutis challenges us to lift our eyes from the temporary distractions of this world and to fix them on eternity. He challenges us to stop wasting time and to start living with purpose. He challenges us to love Jesus in the Eucharist and to bring that love into our families, our friendships, and even our use of technology. My friends, Carlo's death was not the end. It was the beginning of a mission that continues through you and me. His vision invites us to live with our eyes fixed on heaven. His vision invites us to embrace holiness in our ordinary lives. His vision invites us to trust that what awaits us after death is not darkness, but light, not despair, but joy, not emptiness, but the fullness of God. And so, I leave you with his own words, words that are perhaps the most important of all. All people are born as originals, but many die as photocopies. Carlo refused to live as a photocopy. He chose to live as the original God created him to be. That is what he saw before his death. And that is what we are called to see as well. Thank you for staying with me through this story. If Carlo's vision has touched your heart, if his words have inspired you, I encourage you to subscribe to this channel. Join me as we continue to share stories of faith, stories of courage, and stories that remind us that holiness is possible for all of us. Stay close to God, cling to the Eucharist, and live with your eyes on heaven. That is what Saint Carlo Acutis saw, and it is a vision that can change your life forever.